Welcome to the flowerschool.com video library. I'm Leanne Kessler, Director of the Floral Design Institute, here to share with you our latest issue, a French Tulip Bridal Bouquet. The wedding season kicks off really close to Christmas time. Did you know that there are more Christmas to Valentine's Day engagements than any other time of the year? Not to mention all the bridal shows in January. Wedding season seems to start earlier and earlier, even though traditionally June marked the beginning of the season. But today, weddings are almost year-round. And that's why I want to share with you a bridal bouquet today, even though June is far away. To begin, you want to fully hydrate your tulips. And to do this, I also like to give them full support. So fully hydrated and full support means a very tall vase or wrapping them in paper. Then once they're hydrated, then you can take them out and get them ready to use. I've already removed all of the foliage so that I have just the beautiful bare stems. I can take and try to straighten them a bit, but for this particular bouquet, that's not necessary. So instead, I just take them and start lining them up in my hands, thinking about where their heads go, thinking about sequencing. This one's a little more pointy, so maybe putting him at the very tip, and then just laying them gracefully together, letting them get fuller as I come back in my hand, even stacking a little bit, a little wider. Keeping the stems all parallel. And then taking a look to see if I like the placement, looking at it from both sides so that it looks beautiful no matter how you appear from this side, or this side. Then line them up. And to hold them in place, a little bit of bind wire. And just lash it together. It's not going to show later, so I don't have to worry too much about that. I don't want it to be so tight that I break anything. But just bringing them down, and then bring it right back up, and then twisting it together to secure them in place. To exaggerate and enhance the movement of the tulips, adding in bear grass. Making sure that all of the ends are going in the same direction. Don't want them reversed. And tucking them in, letting them drape. If it's too stiff, don't use it. Pull it out. Always take a look, make sure they're all going the right direction. That one's a little stiff, so removing it and tucking it back in. Adding a little more. Now, tulips and bear grass have such beautiful drape, but you may know that tulips are geotropic and phototropic, meaning that they're going to grow towards the light and against gravity. So these are going to shift on you. So this is the type of bouquet that you need to do the day of the wedding. You can't do it ahead of time because the tulips are going to grow and contort. And you're going to lose this graceful curve. You don't want that to happen. The curve is what makes this bouquet. Adding a little more bear grass. Then once I have it all in place, going back with the bind wire once again and lashing it together so that it won't move and shift, and everything will be ready to use for the final embellishment. To embellish the stems, I'm going to use some of the rhinestone ribbon. It's so fabulous. So I don't need them to be this long. So very first, I'm going to go through and cut them down. Not necessarily to the length they'll stay, but just to get them out of my way. I can go back and cut them shorter later. I'm going to set them in water. Just let them drink while they're waiting. And then for the rhinestones, I'm going to turn it to the reverse. So I have the back side up. And using the Oasis glue strips, just pulling off the tab and placing it on the side, extending it. So it's just on one side, but it's going to overlap. Repeating that. And get it to come undone. Come off, little strip. There we go. Again, extending it. Then once I have that in place, I can go back and pull those off so that the glue is staying onto the rhinestone ribbon. Then I start by laying it right against the stems and dry them off a little bit. And the glue will actually stick to the stems a little bit too. Then wrapping it around, bringing it to the underneath side, and overlapping right onto the glue strip so it holds it in place. Repeating it down on the bottom, holding it into place. Making sure it's all nice and snug. And then to give it just a little more security, using the Bullion wire and lashing it around. This will make sure that it stays, doesn't shift on me. Lashing and back up. And then when I get up to the top, using the extra end that I started with, and just twisting those together to make sure that it'll stay put and not come apart at all. And then clipping it short and bending it down. So I've got a total coverage, a wand of glitter and sparkle for the bride to hold on to. To finish, I love to embellish with the beautiful mega beads from the Oasis Company, just by lashing it right around the neck, up at the top. Again, making sure that you're not so tight that you would cut the stems. So just kind of loosely wrapping a few times around. And then when you're satisfied with the length, giving it a cut, and then just looping it onto itself, twisting it, taking the ends and lashing to make sure that it doesn't come undone. You can even twist a pearl around a pearl. Okay? Then at the base, I want to get rid of all of this. I don't want the stems to show, so I'm going to kind of scooch my ribbon up the best I can, and then reach in and cut as short as I can. Getting them all as short as possible, cutting it down, then using the Oasis Foil adhesive, putting glue right on the bottom of those stems. Then I'm going to let it set for a moment so it begins to dry, because it'll bond much better if it has set for just a bit. So I'm setting that aside. I'm going back with a few more of the beads and hooking them together, just kind of folding them back and forth on themselves, accordion pleating. Taking the wires all, bending them upward. And then giving it a twist. So I've created this cluster. Twisting it. Basically, it's a knot of the beads. You can even take and kind of wrap it on itself. Then a tiny bit of glue right on that end. Clipping that off. And then inserting that end up into the stems and gluing the balls directly to the base. And this time I've got to hold it a little bit until it dries, but what a beauty. A bouquet like this is so wonderful for today's bride. It takes on the trend of all of the glitz and bling. And it's also a very easy bouquet to hold. So for destination weddings, it's very comfortable. You can carry it over their arm and carry it in front. Or they can just let it drop down beside and carry it casually. It's a perfect bouquet. Then your creativity comes in. Do you want to extend the tulips and beargrass even longer? Do you want beads to trail down? There's so many different ways to interpret this bouquet. Now it's your turn. For more creative inspiration, check out our website at flowerschool.com. If you've got questions or want to contact us, feel free. You can reach us through the website or by telephone at 1-800-819-8089. If email is easier, use my personal email. It's Leanne, Leanne, at floraldesigninstitute.com. Happy wedding season. We're all going to have so much fun. There are brides everywhere. Have fun and do something you love.